Virgo, you're about to be pulled away from your family, not because you did anything wrong, but because you've outgrown the mold they put you in. The suffocation you're feeling isn't a lack of gratitude. It's your soul expanding while everything around you stays the same. God is preparing a new path for you. No map, no permission, no approval from those you once thought were your whole world. Because what's waiting ahead isn't acceptance, it's purpose. You've played the role, the good child, the peacekeeper, the one who always stays quiet. But inside, you're unraveling. Now it's time to leave not love but limitation. You no longer belong to conversations that silence you. You no longer belong to meals that make you swallow your truth. You're no longer the version your family is trying to keep. You're the light stretching beyond that roof, and God sees it. If a place, a memory, or a name has been pulling at your heart lately, drop it in the comments. I'll help you decode why your spirit is vibrating around it. Stay, don't scroll. A sacred message is waiting in what comes next. And maybe right now, you're watching this with a tight chest, holding back tears you don't want anyone else to see. Maybe you've been carrying this knowing for weeks, months, even years that you were meant for something more. Not more money, not more status, but more truth, more peace, more alignment, and still, you stayed. You stayed because you love them, because it was easier to blend in than be questioned, because you didn't want to disappoint the people who raised you, who built their world around a version of you that no longer exists. But deep down, you've known for a while that the cost of staying still is getting higher. Your soul is tired of whispering. It wants to roar. It wants to build, create, serve, love on your terms, in your truth. And maybe no one has said this to you yet. So let me be the first. You don't need to keep performing to earn belonging. You don't need to shrink your spirit to maintain peace. You were never meant to stay in a version of life that your higher self has already outgrown. If this is hitting you in the chest, it's not random. It's your confirmation. Your alignment is calling. And you don't have to be fearless to answer, you just have to be honest. Honest about what no longer feels like home. Honest about what kind of life actually feels like you. And honest enough to finally choose it. Because Virgo, choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. You know, Virgo, there's a reason you're watching this right now. I don't think it's an accident. Something deep inside you has been pulling you to this moment, this video, and you may not even know why yet. But your soul does. You've probably felt a shift lately. Maybe it's in the way your conversations at home suddenly feel off, or how, when you're with your family, you find yourself quiet not because you don't love them, but because your energy just isn't syncing the way it used to. And let me be clear, this video isn't about breaking bonds or blaming anyone. It's about awakening, about recognizing that sometimes the people who helped build us can't walk with us into the next chapter, not because they're wrong, but because your purpose is expanding beyond what they understand. This message is going to help you make sense of that. Over the next few minutes, I'll share with you the truth behind why God is leading you away, not to hurt you, but to heal you, to activate something divine in you that can't thrive in a place that no longer matches your frequency. So stick around. This isn't just a message, it's a confirmation. And if something in your chest is already tightening or your eyes are watering, that's your spirit recognizing the truth. You're not being abandoned, you're being chosen. And I promise, by the end of this, it's all going to make sense. Let me give you an example. A Virgo I worked with once said her life started changing the moment she stopped pretending she was okay at the dinner table. She realized she was smiling to keep the peace, but inside, she was aching for a life no one else could see. And when she finally listened to that ache, everything started aligning. That's not rebellion. That's revelation. And it's happening to you too, Virgo. Let's talk about the quiet struggle you've been carrying, the one no one really sees. It's that silent disconnect growing between you and your family. You sit at the table, you show up for the birthdays, the holidays, the conversations. You laugh when you're supposed to. You nod when they expect agreement. But inside, something's been shifting. You've been noticing it for months now, maybe even years, but lately, it's become impossible to ignore. The things that used to bring you comfort feel heavy. The topics that once sparked laughter now feel like noise. And the hardest part, you can't explain it without sounding ungrateful or dramatic. But you're not ungrateful. You're evolving. There's a version of you that your family still sees and maybe even clings to. But that version isn't who you are anymore. And every time you try to suppress your growth to keep the peace, your spirit pays the price. That's not rebellion. That's spiritual suffocation. You're not being distant to hurt anyone. You're becoming more distant because your soul is craving air, craving expansion, craving truth. Let me put it this way. Imagine a plant that's outgrown its pot. The roots have nowhere else to go. The soil that once fed it now confines it. It needs to be replanted, not because the original pot was bad, but because it's no longer big enough for who that plant is becoming. That's you. Your family environment may have been nurturing, loving, even beautiful, but it's not enough for the purpose you're stepping into. And maybe lately, you've been dreaming of a different life, not just a vacation or a new job, but a whole new rhythm, new conversations, new values. It's like your heart knows there's something else out there calling you, even if your mind can't explain what or why. That pull, that inner longing, it's sacred. It's not confusion, it's guidance. You're not crazy for feeling like an outsider in your own home. You're not wrong for wanting more than what's familiar. This is your soul preparing for a leap. And the more you resist it, the more tension you'll feel, until one day, it erupts. Maybe it's a conflict. Maybe it's a door opening unexpectedly. Or maybe it's just you, standing in the mirror realizing you don't recognize the version of yourself who keeps trying to fit back into a mold that no longer fits. This isn't about breaking family ties, it's about breaking old energetic patterns. It's about stepping into your next chapter without shame, without guilt, and without apology. Because the truth is, the love you have for your family doesn't disappear when you grow. It transforms. And real love, divine love, gives you the courage to walk away when staying means betraying your calling. So don't ignore the signs. This restlessness isn't a flaw. It's a spiritual alarm clock. And Virgo, it's going off for a reason. Now, Virgo, I want you to think back to a moment that felt like a sudden jolt. Maybe it was an argument that hit deeper than it should have. Or a regular day when someone in your family said something so small, yet it left you feeling like the air had been knocked out of you. These aren't coincidences. These are divine disruptions, wake-up calls designed to shake you from spiritual autopilot. Sometimes, the most pivotal moments in our lives don't come with lightning and thunder. They arrive in silence, in a pause in conversation, in a glance that lingers too long, in a dinner table that suddenly feels like a stage where you're acting a part you no longer relate to. And that's where the spiritual climax begins, not outside, but deep within you. There comes a point where you just can't pretend anymore. You can't keep putting on the same smile, saying the same things, following the same script when everything inside of you is screaming for change. And it's in that moment when the discomfort of staying becomes greater than the fear of leaving that transformation takes root. You might not recognize it as holy, but that inner eruption, that sacred energy, it's your soul rebelling against stagnation. It's divine timing reminding you that your evolution can't wait for everyone around you to understand. And it doesn't need to, because growth rarely comes with applause from those closest to us. Most times, it's met with resistance, confusion, or even silence. But Virgo, that moment when you finally say, I can't keep doing this just to keep the peace, that's when everything changes. It's not defiance, it's alignment. It's your soul reclaiming its voice, its mission, its divine direction. And when that moment comes, and I promise, it's coming, you'll know, not because someone gives you permission, but because something inside you finally refuses to keep shrinking just to fit back in. Let me share a real example. A Virgo woman once told me about a Sunday dinner where everything looked normal, the same food, same jokes, same tablecloth, but she sat there feeling like she was watching her life from the outside. That night, she journaled for hours, and by the end of it, she had written a plan she didn't even know she was carrying inside her heart. Within a month, she applied for a job out of state, moved into her own space, and for the first time in her life, she felt peace, real, unshakable peace. That's what happens when the divine interruption is honored. It doesn't break you, it frees you. Here's the truth. Virgo, when God wants to shift your life, He doesn't always make it loud. Sometimes, it starts with small nudges that feel like coincidence. A missed call that leads to a moment of stillness. An invite from someone you barely know. A job opportunity that comes out of nowhere. Or maybe it's just a sudden urge to be somewhere else, to try something new. These aren't accidents. These are divine breadcrumbs. The separation you're heading into, it won't be some big dramatic explosion. It won't be a falling out where doors slam and voices rise. It'll feel more like a gentle tide pulling you in a direction you can't resist. Even if you don't fully understand it yet, the way it unfolds will feel natural, like stepping into shoes that were always meant to be yours. And here's something important. When this shift begins, things at home will start to feel different. Not wrong, just no longer yours. Conversations won't land the same way. The things you used to care about might lose their spark. And while you'll still love your family deeply, you'll start to realize that love doesn't always mean proximity. Sometimes, it means letting go. Picture this. A Virgo man I know once told me about a moment when he was offered a job 3 states away. On paper, he wasn't qualified, but everything aligned: housing, timing, even the drive felt peaceful. He said yes, even though his family begged him to stay. That job led him into a whole new life, one that lit up every part of who he was. A year later, his mother told him, I didn't understand at first, but now I see this was your path, not mine. The universe is orchestrating things behind the scenes for you too. Right now, opportunities are being lined up, people are being positioned, doors you didn't even know existed are quietly unlocking. And when the moment is right, they will open wide and you'll know exactly which one to walk through. But it starts with trust. You won't get a full roadmap. You'll get signs, feelings, nudges, and your job, Virgo, is to follow them, even when they make no logical sense, because logic can only take you as far as your past experiences. Faith will take you to your destiny. So when the shift begins and you'll feel it, don't resist it. Don't run back to what's safe just because it's familiar. Let God lead you into what's next, because what's coming won't just be new, it'll be necessary. And here's the part no one talks about: grief will come. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because even good changes bring loss. The old version of you, the one who tried so hard to belong, will start fading, and that's okay. Mourn it if you need to, but don't stop moving, because on the other side of that grief is a version of you that's freer, bolder, more alive than you've ever been. The kind of you that only emerges when you dare to follow what you can't fully explain. Yet, Virgo, Let's talk about something beautiful that often gets overlooked in the middle of all this transition: your true family. And no, I don't just mean the people you grew up with. I'm talking about the souls you haven't met yet. The ones who will see you not for who you used to be, but for who you're becoming. You see, we're all born into a biological family, and they serve a powerful purpose. They shape our foundation, teach us love, help us understand tradition, survival, maybe even give us our first examples of resilience. But there comes a time, especially for people with missions as big as yours, when you outgrow the structure that raised you. It's not betrayal. It's destiny. Your true family isn't based on blood. It's based on alignment. It's the people who show up in your life and instantly feel like home. They're the ones who don't need you to shrink, explain, or translate your dreams. They just get it. And more than that, they celebrate it. I've seen it happen. A Virgo woman once moved across the country to pursue a spiritual calling, not knowing a single person in her new city. Within 6 months, she had a circle of friends who understood her better than her own cousins ever did. Not because her cousins didn't love her, but because they didn't speak the same soul language. That's what your true family speaks, your soul language. And here's the wild part: they're already looking for you too. The universe doesn't send you out into the wilderness without coordinates. As you step away from your old life, you'll start feeling these nudges: join this group, visit this place, say yes to that invitation, follow them. These are the steps that lead you to your soul tribe. And when you meet them, something clicks. You'll feel more seen in one conversation than you did in years of explaining yourself back home. You'll laugh without holding back, cry without shame, and dream without limits. And you'll realize that what you thought was loneliness was actually space being cleared for connection, real connection. Don't underestimate how powerful this is. Virgo, finding your true family will heal parts of you that didn't even have words before. It will remind you that love doesn't have to be earned or proven. It just flows, and it grows, and it holds you up when your own strength starts to shake. So while you walk away from one circle, trust that another one is already forming, already waiting, already ready to receive you. Your real family isn't behind you. They're ahead of you. And when you find them, everything changes. And here's the sacred truth: Virgo, when you arrive in their presence, you won't have to explain the journey you took to get there. They'll feel it, they'll honor it, because they've walked through their own fire, too. And that's what makes this connection unlike anything you've ever known before. Virgo, I want to talk to you about something that might be showing up already: conflict. Not the loud, slamming doors kind. I'm talking about the quiet tension, the side glances, the subtle comments that leave you questioning yourself. When you start growing into the next version of you, not everyone claps. Sometimes the people you love the most start pulling you back, not because they're cruel, but because they're scared. They sense the distance. Even before you do, they'll say things like you've changed, like you're being selfish or ungrateful. And it hurts, because all you're trying to do is honor what's true for you. But here's the thing: when your energy shifts, it exposes where others haven't shifted yet. And for some, that's uncomfortable. That's why you might find it harder and harder to share your heart. It's not that you've become cold. It's that your language has changed. You're speaking from vision, and they're still speaking from history. Don't let that isolate you. Don't let it make you shrink. You're not here to prove anything to anyone. Your path doesn't require approval, just obedience to what your soul knows. And I promise, Virgo, the more you keep honoring your truth, the more those misunderstandings will fall away. You'll stop needing them to get it, because you'll be too busy becoming it. And if you're feeling that pain right now, the ache of not being fully seen, know this: It's temporary, because clarity is coming, and peace always follows alignment. And here's what I want you to remember. Growth doesn't require you to abandon your past. It simply asks you to stop pretending that your past defines you. You're still loving, you're still loyal, but now you're also awake. And once you're awake, you can't unsee what your soul is trying to show you. Keep moving forward. Virgo, let your life be the evidence of your transformation. Virgo, let's talk about that moment when everything clicks, when you finally realize you're not here to fix everyone's understanding of you. You're here to understand yourself, and that changes everything. This realization doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up in the quiet. One morning, you wake up and the weight you've been carrying just isn't there. Not because the situation changed, but because you did. You stopped trying to force alignment where there was none. You stopped waiting for someone else to validate your vision before you pursued it. You started choosing yourself. That's what this whole journey has been about. Reclaiming the power you've slowly handed away over the years through compromise, through guilt, through silence. And now, one by one, you're calling those pieces back. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with clarity. And that clarity is magnetic. People will feel it. Some will be drawn to it. Others might feel threatened by it. But none of that matters as much as how it makes you feel. Empowered, clear, free. You'll start to notice you're not explaining yourself as much. You're not apologizing for being intense or passionate or sensitive, because you're starting to see those were never flaws. They were signals, clues to your purpose. And then one day, you look around and realize you're not lonely anymore, because you've become your own safe place, your own compass, your own sanctuary. That's the beauty of this kind of growth. It doesn't just change how you see the world, it changes who shows up in it. So if you're in the middle of that tension right now, hold on. Keep honoring your truth. Keep trusting the path that doesn't always make sense to your head, but feels right in your chest. Because the clarity you're craving, it's already on its way. And when it lands, it will be unmistakable. Let me share something real. A Virgo client once told me that the most powerful day of her life wasn't the day she landed her dream job or met someone amazing. It was the day she sat in her car after a family gathering, looked in the rearview mirror, and said to herself, "I don't need to keep proving who I am." That one moment of acceptance launched a cascade of miracles. Relationships shifted, doors opened, and for the first time in years, she felt like she belonged in her own life. You deserve that feeling too, Virgo. And it's coming. So Virgo, what happens next? That's the question your heart has probably been whispering. You've done the hard part, letting go, stepping away, surrendering what's familiar. Now comes the shift, and it's going to start showing up in ways you didn't expect. You'll begin to notice moments of alignment, conversations with strangers that feel like divine appointments, a sudden email or opportunity that perfectly matches something you once journaled about months ago, a place you visit that instantly feels like home. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. Little nods from the universe that you're not just wandering, you're walking the path that was always meant for you. But here's what you need to remember. Your Virgo mind might try to overanalyze it all. You'll want to understand the steps before taking them. You'll want a guarantee before you leap. But faith doesn't work like that, and your next season isn't built on logic. It's built on trust. Your purpose, Virgo, isn't some distant dream waiting for the perfect time. It's unfolding right now, in real time. Every courageous step you take, every boundary you set, every time you choose your peace over people. Pleasing, you're stepping deeper into that purpose. And what's more, the new family, the community, The soul-aligned people you're meant to meet, those connections will come not when you're chasing them, but when you're living fully as yourself. They'll recognize you by your light, not by your labels. And when they do, it'll feel like reunion, not introduction. But the most beautiful part, you'll also meet a version of you that you haven't seen in years. The one who's bold, joyful, sure. The version that was buried under expectation and guilt, finally rising again. That's the true reward of this entire transformation. So stay present. Stay open. Don't rush the outcome. Trust that God has already lined up the people, the places, the purpose, and your only job is to keep walking with faith, even when the path ahead still looks a little foggy. Because here's the truth. Clarity doesn't always come before obedience. Sometimes it's the obedience that brings the clarity. And Virgo, you're already further than you think. Let me give you an example. One Virgo man I spoke with left his family's business after years of pressure to carry the legacy. He had no plan, just a gut feeling that he was meant for something else. Everyone thought he was making a huge mistake, but within months, he started a small creative agency that exploded with success. Not because he had all the answers, but because he trusted the nudge. And now, his life is filled with freedom, joy, and a sense of mission he never felt in the family business. That's what awaits you too. Not perfection, but alignment. Not certainty, but peace. You won't always know how it's going to work out, but you'll feel the difference. You'll wake up with clarity instead of dread. You'll walk into rooms where your energy isn't just tolerated, it's welcomed. And most importantly, you'll stop apologizing for becoming who you were always meant to be. Keep going. Virgo, you're not lost. You're being led.